The world economy is underperforming as a result of tight monetary policies, weaker global trade, a slowing Chinese economy, and uncertainty around the U.S. election. Well, that's done already now, and we have President Trump there already in office. But an escalation of the conflict in the Middle East could increase uncertainties, harming inflation reduction efforts and hurting growth. Now, it has been over a year since the Hamas-led attack on Israel. Israel's response in Gaza has resulted in widespread destruction and significant loss of lives. Now, the conflict has since expanded beyond Gaza, involving the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Iranian strikes targeting Israel. In addition to the awful humanitarian cost of conflict, the war and the possibility of its further expansion pose significant repercussions for the global economy. International trade, shipping, and the global supply chain has obviously been affected by this ugly development, which many say might impact the projected economic growth. And Dr. Olushola Kolawole is a lecturer in logistics and supply chain management, University of Bradford, United Kingdom. He joins me from the United Kingdom to talk more around this. Thank you so much, Doc. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much, Tolulope. Thank you for having me once again.
All right, I think we should start with an overview of this war and what has played out so far. There's been a lot of developments around that space. Take us through what you understand and maybe a fallout of this conflict.
Yeah, thank you, Tolulope. I want to start by letting the world know that the conflict between Gaza and Israel did not just start in the last 15 months. It's been there, and it can be dated back to 1948. And this can be linked to the British Empire, when they were trying to merge the Arab and the Israelite together. And this is what has escalated up to today. Now, on the 7th October 2023, we saw that Hamas fighter, they launched an assault from Gaza, into Israel. And this resulted to about 1,200 people were killed as a result of this. And not only that, they didn't stop at that, what they've done, killing people. They took about 250 hostages from Israel. And this really triggered the Israelites. They were not happy because they were not expecting this to happen to them. But it happened from the Hamas fighter. And the Israelites, they launched a military offensive, and which has started since about 18 months ago or 15 months ago. And because of this, we had about 46,700 people who had been killed. And this includes the women, the children, and other civilians. And it's been so terrible for the past 18 months. But fortunately, in this month, there was a kind of ceasefire agreement, between the two fighter, that is the Israel as well as the Hamas. And people were saying that this could be linked to what Donald Trump said, that they should settle before he takes over as the president of the United States. And before you know it, within a week, there was a kind of agreement before the then former president of the United States left the office. And they agreed that they're going to cease fire. And as a result of this ceasefire, it was divided into 3 stages, the first stage and the 3rd stage and the 2nd stage, as well as the 3rd stage. So I'm going to also be explaining what is the implication of these stages, what are those things that are involved within these stages of the ceasefire from both the Gaza, the Hamas militant, as well as the Israelite. So that is just the overview of what has been happening. It's linked to what has happened in 1948, which was as a result of the intervention of the British Empire.
That background makes so much sense looking at what has played out around that space. But let's also talk about the ceasefire deal. What more do we need to know about that?
Yes, so thank you again, Tolulope. If you look at the ceasefire deal, like I said before, it's been divided into 3 stages. So the first stage is what we are experiencing at this moment. and which is going to be 42 days or 6 weeks, according to the information that is being made available by the former president of the United States, Joe Biden, who said that the Hamas and the Israel, they've come together and they've decided that they're going to have 42 days. Within these 42 days, it has been agreed that 33 Israeli hostages, which include women, soldiers, children, will be released to the Israelites, and they will be handed over to them. And this also includes the wounded soldiers from the Palestine as well. The Israel will release them to the Hamas. And if you notice, for the past few days, this has actually happened. That was a kind of a change from both sides. That is, the Israelite as a change. The people they are keeping, especially the wounded prisoner that are already in Israel, and they've given back to the Hamas. The same thing, the Hamas, they've done the same thing. So that is the stage one. The stage two is going to be what is called the permanent end of war. So which means people who are the men who are already in Palestine prison will be released by the Israelite, and they will be given back to the Hamas. And Hamas in return as well will release other people that they've taken for hostages. They will release them back to Israel. And we should also take note that we have over 1,000 people who are, who are already in Israelite prison. About 1,000 people are in Israelite prison at the moment. And this part of people will be released during the second stage of this ceasefire, which I think is a relief to the Hamas. And that is what the Hamas have been agitating for. That is what they've been asking for. And that is why they've got that deal for stage two. Now, let's come back to stage three. The stage three of this ceasefire is going to be the final stage. In the final stage, is going to be reconstruction of Gaza. And you will believe me that reconstruction of Gaza will take a lot of years to be completed, given the amount of damage that has happened in Gaza at the moment. So it's going to take a longer time because they're going to be looking for investors. They're going to be looking for what leaders were to assist them in to rebuild Gaza. And during this third stage of Gaza as well, those who have died, the Israelites who have died, those who have died that they've taken hostages, their body will be released to the Israelites for burial, for proper burial. And that is what the stages in terms of this ceasefire is all about. It's 3 stages, like I said, and it's stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. At the moment, they are already in stage 4, stage 1 rather, which will last for 42 days.
Interesting stuff. Now, I'd like to take you now to issues around supply chain and what this means for the global economy. In my research, I see that this route, all of this global movement and all of that comprises 80% of world trade volume. And some commercial shipping has been rerouted already. And this will definitely impact businesses. And of course, some dollars here because people will have to pay more for freight and all of that. Can you take us through that development and what it means for everybody now? It's because it's a global development.
Thank you so much. And that is the concern when it comes to the global supply chain as well as international trade. That when the war started, it really affected the Red Sea. And you want to agree with me that Red Sea is very important to the global supply chain, especially international trade. And one of the challenges that this war has really caused the world is the climate change. And why do I mention climate change? Because the vessels were rerouted during this period because they couldn't go straight through the Red Sea. So they have to take part of the African and some other country in order to get to their destination. And because of this, the CO2 emission has about 35.7 million tons of CO2 emission were generated over the last 15 months, and which has a negative impact on climate change. And you know that climate change is one of the things that has been calling for attention. World leader, individual organization, they've done a lot of things to make sure that we don't experience the negative side of the climate change. But because of this war, we have that at the moment, which about 35.7 million tons of CO2 emission has been generated. Now that we have the ceasefire, so the first impact is that this is going to be reduced. It's going to be reduced because the Red Sea will be open, even though some of the shipping companies are saying no, they can't just go back immediately. They want to see if there will be if there will be more attack on their vessels, because we noticed there was a lot of attacks on vessels. So they are just watching at the moment. But I believe that in the next few days, the next few weeks, they are going to return back. And once this is done, the CO2 emission that is being generated as a result of rerouting of some of these vessels will be reduced. And that is the first impact. The second impact, which is also a positive one, is if you will notice for this past 15 months, there were a lot of delays for goods that are coming from Asia. Because Europe also depends on Asia when it comes to some food items and for some essential commodity. So they depend on Asia. And because of this war, there are a lot of delays, bringing some of these goods from Asia to Europe, because they have to reroute their vessels to take other parts across the world. And as a result of this, these delays in supplying of goods from Asia to Europe will be reduced. So that is the second one. And the third one is because as a result of the increase in delay, the cost of rerouting, it has added to the cost of production of some of these goods. So that is high cost. So the high cost will be eliminated, which is a positive one to the global supply chain. It's also a positive one to the investor, those who want to go to the Asian part of the world to do business. So it's going to reduce the cost of production because the world is no longer there. People can have access to the region, and they can do a lot of things. And the fourth aspect of the positive impact of this ceasefire is going to be stability in the regional trade. There's a lot of issue between, because of what is happening, the Egypt and neighboring country are unable to conduct their trade as expected. Because of this war and because of this ceasefire, that is going to be eliminated. So there's going to be a kind of stability in the regional trade. And another thing is the energy supply and prices. Because gas export, the Israel, they play a significant role in the natural gas export, especially to the Europe. So because of that, that's going to be a positive news in that aspect, because the price will be reduced, because there is going to be a flow, a movement of some of these natural gas export from the Israel without any issue to the European country. And this is going to bring about a positive effect on the energy supply as well as the price. Another thing is stability in the health sector. You will agree with me that the health sector was overwhelmed in the last 15 months in Gaza as well as Israel, especially Gaza. So now, because of this, there's going to be stability in the health sector. The hospital supply chain can go back without any issue, and other activities that are related to the health sector will also go back without any issue. And investment will also return to Gaza. We return not only Gaza, it's going to return to both countries, because people are also, they don't want to go to Israel in a way, and some people, they don't want to go to Gaza. But now, as a result of this ceasefire, there's going to be investors, they're going to return back to the country, and normalcy will continue within all the sector. And what of the air sector? A lot of people, they couldn't travel to Gaza via the air sector. The same thing to Israel. So this is going to reduce, as they are going to open the airport in some part of the Palestinian as well as the Israel. Inflation in that region, like you said before, is going to reduce. So these are some of the positive news of the ceasefire on the global supply chain. Of course, the global supply chain is going to come back. Procurement of goods will start without any issue, provided both parties keep to their promises.
Exactly. That's key. If both parties keep to the side of the agreement, because I'm also worried about financial flows, of course, causing great volatility in capital flows in emerging markets and crude oil prices. You've talked about gas and all of that. Don't forget, President Trump is back and a lot of developments. Drill, drill, drill. That's what he's talking about. What do you also see this impacting all of this, considering this war? Don't forget, Ukraine-Russia war is still there too, that we have to also put on the front burner.
Like I said before, if you remember, I think about few days ago, before Donald Trump came to power, he did mention and asked Gaza and Israel to come together.
Yeah.
And before you know it, within 2 days, they came together and came up with this ceasefire. So I'm sure yesterday, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, he has requested that Ukraine and Russia should come together again. I'm sure they're going to come together and also have a deal that will stop the war that is going on in Ukraine. As a matter of fact, I am very, very sure that President Donald Trump will have a positive effect on some of this stability across the world, not only between Ukraine and Russia alone or Gaza and Israel, across the world, because he's a man that believes in peace, that want all the country to come together and become one. So I believe that it's going to have a positive impact on some of these things that is going on across the world, as well as in our economy.
So what will be your parting shot? Well, for this discussion today, what is the outlook despite all of these odds?
So I believe that I want to plead to the Israel and Hamas militants to keep to the side of the deal. If they can keep to the side of the deal, the peace will return back to that part of the world. But if they don't keep to their side of the deal, then I believe this is going to escalate again. And this time around, it might be something that is going to be overwhelmed and even move to other part of the world. So my parting word is that both parties should please keep to their side of the deal. As we move on in the year 2025, I believe that a lot of positive news will come to our supply chain as well as the international trade.
Dr. Olushola Kolawole is a lecturer in logistics and supply chain management, University of Bradford, United Kingdom. Thank you so much for making sense of this very, very important topic of discourse. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then we'll